Alright guys, at this point, after I've checked to make sure that all of your calculations for the number of sugar packets in each of your drinks is correct, you are now ready to make a bar graph to display your data. We're going to do this in Google, so you need to go to Google Drive, and on your Chromebook, if you go down to the bottom left-hand corner, you will see the triangle, and that represents Google Drive. Click on that and it will take you to your Drive homepage. You then go over here to where it says New, click on New and go down to Google Sheets. This will open up a new spreadsheet and you can title it Sugar Packets and then also include the names of your group members. So once you have Sugar Packets, put the name of your group members. And then in column A, row 1, you're going to want to start inputting all of the data with your drinks and sugar packets. So just start with whatever drink you want to include first. You'll have Coke, and then Sunkist, all of your drinks. And keep going on. Make sure you include all of them. I'm not going to put all of them in this example chart, but make sure you go in and include all of your drinks, including Coke, from the front of your worksheet. And then in row 2, all you need to do is input the exact data values for the amount of sugar packets in each drink. So the first one for Coke, we had 16.25. And then you are going to go through and input your values for all of your other drinks. So just for this example, I'm going to just put some values in. These are not the correct amount of sugar packets, but we're just going to use that as our example. You're going to do that for all of your drinks. And once you have all of them in your chart, you will select both rows. So select all of the data that you have, and you're going to go up to Insert and go down to Chart. Google gives you a lot of different recommendations for chart types. There's a ton of different ones that you can pick from, but for this activity, since we're talking about different drinks, that's kind of like different categories and the number of sugar packets in each drink, the best chart for this would be a type of bar graph. So you can either use the column chart, or if you want to have, instead of vertical bars, if you want to have horizontal bars, you can do that as well. So either one of those would work. I'm going to stick with the vertical bars for this example, but again, either one would work. And then at this point, you can click on Customization. You'll want to give your graph a title. So I'm going to call mine Sugar Packets in Drinks. You can title it anything along those lines. Be descriptive and make sure you capitalize. And then you really don't need this rectangle over here is the legend. You really don't need it. So if you want to click None, you can do that and get rid of that. If you want to, you can change the font. You can also change the size and the color of the title. The background color you can change to any color that you want. Again, make sure that as you're coming up with the color and your fonts that it's easy to read for your viewers. And then go down to axis. You can title your horizontal axis, so come up with what you think a good description of whatever is on your horizontal axis would be, and then go up to left vertical and do the same thing for your data values on the y-axis. So this is your horizontal, which is your x, and your vertical is your y-axis. And again, you can go in and change the color of the title and of the axis labels if you would like, depending on what your background was. You can go in and change those to make it easier for your readers to see. You can also, if you want to, depending on how many data values you have, it might start getting a little cramped, so you can either hit automatically slant the labels, or if you want to position your data values and your labels a certain way, you can change that as well under the slant labels section. And then you can also change in the data labels section, instead of saying none, if you hit value, that will actually tell us the specific value for each data point, which is helpful to your readers, because if you don't have that on there, it might be tricky to see exactly what that value is without hovering over. And when you go to copy and paste this and print it off, you won't be able to actually see that value unless you have value selected there. Once you've made the changes that you want to make and you've customized it the way you want, go ahead and hit insert. And then at this point, you will want to make sure that your graph is selected, and you can see that by the blue boxes and the outline being around your graph. And go to edit and copy. And then we want to make a Google Doc. So you'll go to new document. And at this point, you will then go to edit paste, and you're going to hit the paste button here. You are copying and pasting your chart, your graph, into a Google Doc, and then you will want to write your conclusion. So in your conclusion, you're going to talk about anything that was surprising to you as you walked through this activity, any drinks that you thought would have more sugar in them and they actually had less, or vice versa, any drinks that you didn't think would have a whole lot of sugar and they really did in fact have a lot of sugar packets. You could also talk about if anybody in your group was correct in their prediction, and basically a general overview of the activity that we did and the process that we worked through to find each of the amounts of sugar packets in the drinks. So as you're making your conclusion, make sure that you're giving the opinions of all of your group members and letting everybody input their own information. And once you have your conclusion done, then you can go up to your document, and again you can title it Sugar Packets and make sure you include all of your names. And then from there you will enter into Google Classroom, and you can submit your assignment just like you've submitted assignments for other classes. You can go ahead and submit it in Google Classroom and it will be ready to grade. One person is the only one that needs to submit it. And throughout this whole process, if you would like to share your document with each other so that other people can work on it, that is fine as well. You don't need to share it with me until the very end when you go to post it into Google Classroom. That's the only thing you have to do with me, and I'll be able to see it and grade it from there. Good luck!